Speaking of trouble, now this, big tax troubles for MSNBC host Al Sharpton. He reportedly owes more than $3 million in federal taxes, and Liz MacDonald tells us that other people from Chuck Berry to Leona Helmsley have gone to jail for owing less to Uncle Sam. What's this? Leona Helmsley,
yeah.
Chuck Berry.
Right. Let's set up the story. So, according to news reports, and I've looked at Al Sharpton's, nonprofit filings as well. He personally owes reportedly $3 million in federal-backed taxes, another $778,000 in state taxes. His two for-profit businesses, Tom, owe roughly $800,000. So, and his nonprofit, National Action Network, also has owed money, a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars in his operation. Some of his part of operation revolves failed to even file tax returns. But we know now, and I've dug into tax records, I've covered the IRS, I've talked to revenue agents and auditors. Look at Chuck Berry. He went to jail for owing $200,000. You're going to see Pete Rose went to prison for owing $355,000. Less amounts, but they ended up in prison. Richard Hatch, even Leona Helmsley went to prison for 21 months for owing $1.7 million in back taxes.
Right. And so the big question is, why isn't Sharpton behind the clink?
Well, that's the question, and that's what people are asking. And it's an open secret that the IRS operates in a decentralized kind of business model, meaning they have different district offices that handle tax investigations and probes. But the IRS doesn't, I know this for a fact, having talked to them, they don't like to be criticized, they don't like to be second-guessed. These guys like to have their decision, and they feel like they adhere to the law and to the directives and the rules. But, federal appeals courts have said, the rules are not generally consistently applied to taxpayers. They're not strictly, adhered to evenly across the board. So you got to wonder, why hasn't Al Sharpton had the book thrown at him? We know that he has tax liens filed against him, and the IRS is acting, and the state is acting. But others have really had the book thrown at them and been thrown in prison.
How can we not discuss this story without talking about the IRS's targeting of conservatives?
Sure.
This is a politicized institution. We know it. And now we have evidence to prove it after all of the congressional hearings and reports that have come out over the last couple of years.
I presume that and maybe, Liz, you can answer this, is there somebody at the IRS who has to call up, send a file over to the U.S. attorney?
Yeah, that does happen. That does go on,
because
for sure.
I would think the U.S. attorney, well, they're political, too. They're politically appointed, too. But you would think that they would go after, and especially a federal judge, if it ever got to that, would treat him the same.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, Tom. And the other thing, too, is Al Sharpton, in his response to this whole issue, it's the New York Times, National Review, he is making it political. He's saying, every time that, there's a Sean Bell or a Ferguson that comes up, they go through my taxes. He said people don't like President Obama. They don't like Mayor Bill de Blasio.
Right.
He's saying he's paying it off and it's in installments, but liens are still out there. And this has been a chronic problem for him dating back to the early 90s when he was hit for a misdemeanor for not filing his New York State tax return.
Long before Ferguson.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Great reporting. Liz, thank you very, very much.